Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Happy Sunday drive?
Is it a happy Sunday drive?
No.
Here's why it's not happy. This is why it's not happy. I wore my gray and red Heart Home Orlando shirt. Mm-hmm. And now the way at the time of day we're doing this, the sun hits here, which just makes me look like a giant fat blob. You know the main reason for that? Because I'm a giant flat blob. You thought it. You just wouldn't say it.
Flat. You just said flat blob.
That's what I meant. A flat blob. No, I said a flat blob. Scattered. So scattered is a family term, which means if you're just talking and then you're like, that's what that means. Hi.
All right, anyway.
We're going up Avalon Road.
Morning.
We're going to downtown Winter Garden.
Yes, we are.
We haven't been there in a while.
Well, we haven't, and it is actually, I know you're watching this on a Sunday, but this is actually a Saturday that we're recording it, and this is the day that they have the farmers market and all of the fun stuff happening. So it's a nice opportunity to kind of drive through it again once it's a little bit more active. And it's honestly, I say it's one of our favorite places. We just unfortunately don't get to go there and enjoy it as much as we should because we're always busy, but we're grateful to be busy.
I don't think people can see it, but so we're passing Stony Brook West, which is a large community. It's at least 20 years old or more at this point. Mm-hmm. Maybe not more, but in the early 2000s. They've had an issue with their golf course forever and ever and ever, right? But they're like the fairways are stripped out, the greens are being built, great. So they're getting there toward golfing.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
To the left, they grow weed.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
We're allowed to talk about that. That's what they do. There's a medicinal marijuana farm to our left.
Okay.
It is. It's a greenhouse.
So
that's what it's there.
All right. So okay, moving on.
We don't lie to the people.
Right. So, again, as always, we're fitting in a Sunday drive. We actually have to go remove a lockbox and a sign from one of our listings that closed yesterday. So, congratulations to our sellers and to the new happy homeowners. Yay. We're excited about that. So, those are the things that people don't think about when it comes to the specifics of real estate. It's not just about the contract. It's these little tiny little errands and things that have to be done. The putting on lock boxes, the removing them. Now, we're not complaining. I'm just saying there's a lot of little tiny logistics that also has to get squeezed into your schedule. And so that's what we're doing today. We're going to go remove the lock box, go pick up the sign, and then I think we're going to go to Winter Garden first, though. So we'll do the Winter Garden Sunday drive first, and then we'll head over there.
Yeah.
And then speaking of that, I have to say, this is not typical, but I'm really proud and happy for another listing that we have that'll be closing on Monday. It is, the owners live out of state. The home that they used or that they owned was their own private vacation home, and a little bit older couple and not here, so not able to pack up and do these things and schedule these things. And so when they first had reached out to me, a couple months ago, I guess, about listing the home, they had said, we're going to need your help to do, to get things moved. We don't know who to call. We don't know what to do. And so we did that. So yesterday we had the pod came on Thursday. I don't know. Pod came Thursday. We had movers come yesterday. And anyway, so we've been taking care of a lot of those, again, those little pieces.
And then we had a potential listing appointment yesterday as well. So we're trying to race
we were
out.
So sweaty after moving everything. I don't know about you. Well, you went home and showered.
I had to. My goodness. Hi, we're here. We load to list your home. I'm Pizza the Hut.
But we were doing a good service to our clients.
Wait. Haven't been past this in a while.
I need to roll down your window so I can smell it. Okay. I don't know. Can we smell it? Yes, because there are too early to smell it.
I don't know. But these folks do barbecue right here in Avalon Road, and I mean. I don't care what restaurant you got; they're better than the restaurant that you have.
That is the Saturday barbecue spot. It's happening.
My god! And later that will be like that whole little parking area will be
cars.
Fantastic. Anyway, we went to this listing appointment, which led us to our reason, our
topic.
Yeah, our raison d'être.
What did you say?
I was speaking French.
You scatting again?
No, our reason for living, our reason for this video.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know if that's what that means.
I don't know.
I'll put on the screen what I was trying to say. Because I'm sure it wasn't our California raisins for being here. Okay. What is this? What? We don't like that you're doing that. Well, you're going to have to because otherwise we're going to be killed. You better give us the wave. You better wave. He waved. Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right,
You're welcome.
you're allowed to continue to live here. Okay.
Well, something like that, you kind of have to be a little bit more brave.
Yeah,
You're never going to get out here turning left. Anyway,
okay. Anyway, so we went, and the thing was, it became clear during the listing appointment. This is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. It's actually it's a good thing because it helps us help you a little bit better.
And really, I think I blame us for overlooking this. I think people don't know how real estate transactions work.
Well, I think that they have a broad idea. Obviously, if you own a home, that means you've purchased a home. That means, you may or may not have sold one yet, and how that actually works and what is involved when you have a realtor help, and what does that look like financially, and even some things like showing the homes. How does showing the home work? And it was just kind of it was a good conversation. But there was a time when, and I'm sure you remember this, when our son was in T-ball and you were coaching. And, these are like little kids.
This is the Freddie story.
Yeah, well, okay. Excuse me. So, it was funny because Eric's, by the way, a fantastic coach at anything he does. But, you are. No, you are. Soccer, baseball, all
That's
that.
True.
No, you are. You're very good.
It's true. A lot of people would use the word hero. But
I know.
I like to use the word coach.
I know. Well, it's better. It's better. A little more humbling.
That's the hero's their word.
Let me finish. Anyway, so I remember that, he was coaching, and there was one of the little kids hit the ball, and he ran immediately to third base.
Yep.
Third base, not first. Well, it was just one of those things where when everyone was like yelling, not yelling in a bad way, just kind of like, no, the other way. And first of all, it's cute and everyone's laughing, right?
Yep.
But I told Eric, I said,
well, first of all, let me interject. I came home and I was frustrated. I'm like, how am I going to teach? What I said was, what American child that's been raised here in Yorktown, Virginia, doesn't know that you run to first base? And then Amy said,
well, I'm like, not everyone has...
No, what you said was, that's your job.
Well, yeah, it's like that's the coach's job.
And you were right.
I was, because first of all, not everyone has the life experience or the parents that teach them. I mean, they're not born knowing baseball. Right. So anyway, so I was like, that's kind of your job, is to explain to them first base, second base, third base. You have to go back to basics. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. Yes. It's a couple of basics, and here we are.
And let's explain to you cycling. Oh. No, it's fine. By the way, we share the road.
Yes.
We absolutely do.
But you understand that I can't pass.
And see, this person right here, they're thanking us for not passing them, and this person's moved out a little bit to the left, which is fine. They're protecting themselves, and this is good. This is a good moment of etiquette to just talk about, their safety is the important part here.
Yes, but you also could put your hands on your steering.
Yeah, but how? But so for cars.
So what do I do now? I can't pass.
We just have to wait, which is okay. We're not required to pass, but the Winter Garden Trail is right there.
It's right there. The West Orange Trail is right there.
Yeah,
and that might be where they're headed. But should I pass? I can't pass them.
You can't. No. Because honestly, we want them to be safe, and
of course.
We absolutely if you're a biker, we love it. Go bike in good health.
Can I run them now?
But they're also spread out now, so that we have, you got to go fast. And you're gonna have to settle in that pocket, because then they slow down.
That's what I'm planning on doing.
It's like they're not really thinking about our safety as much. Well, they can't, because they can't see us. But so that just makes me worried.
It's stressful, because you see what happens is that there's people that are behind us, and as you've witnessed, there are people sometimes that don't see what I see, because I see the bikers, and that's why I'm slowing down. And there might be some other road rage person 3 cars behind that decides to floor it and pass everybody.
I want to just stress. Nothing wrong with bikers being on the road. Nothing wrong with people riding their bikes on the road. Nothing wrong with it at all.
Not at all.
It's sometimes there are some roads where I'm like, why is there a peloton of 55 people on this particular road? I don't know why you chose that road today, because the trail is right there.
I know. Anyway, let's move on with real estate.
Okay, so the point is, it's our job to let people know and to teach things about it. So Amy, we're going to go back to basics today. How does real estate work? So if I want to sell my home with a realtor. So a couple ways. You could sell it by owner if you want.
You can try.
By the way, the statistics are that you're going to get a lot less for your home on average. Maybe you could do better, but you're gonna sell your home for less than you would have paid a realtor for commissions. That's study after study after study. Now, those studies are by realtors.
Well,
but
and that
tends to be true.
You're also not very protected when you don't have, there's things that you don't know about the real estate transaction that you need to know as both a seller and a buyer.
Yep.
And I've actually had a buyer purchase a home from a for sale by owner, and the guy gave us nothing that we needed. And anyway,
coming into downtown Winter Garden.
Yeah, we are. We're in downtown Winter Garden. I love
Street
it.
Right here, Plant Street Market, right there. Yeah. Lovely.
Look at this. Look at this. Great place for the family on Saturdays.
Take
your bags because you go to the farmers market.
And we never don't come here and go, why don't we come here more?
I know, every single time. Beautiful.
So you could, for sale by owner, you could do that, right? Mm-hmm. You could sell it to an iBuyer. Generally speaking, they're like, and we'll charge you 1% less than the traditional fees, and they don't mention plus another 10%. So, and different companies vary in terms of what their deal is. But look at all the golf carts, that's living.
That's golf cart district.
This
right
is,
here.
I mean, that's just they literally all came down.
Spock's Tail Coffee Company there.
Yep, and a lot of new businesses in here lately, which is cool. So you can do that with an iBuyer. But let's say you're going to go the traditional route and hire a real estate agent to be your agent. Do they not see that person trying to back up?
I don't know.
Let's just say you hire an agent. How does that work? So what happens?
Well, so the first thing when you're choosing your realtor to assist you through the process is you typically want to find someone who's knowledgeable and experienced.
Yes.
First of all, that's
how
kind
do you
of
know
important.
that?
Well,
you can see the farmers market
over there. It's kind of a proof of performance. I mean, is this person active in the market? Do they have knowledge of the market? Are they demonstrating to you? Are they providing you with information? Yep. Should you ask for a referral from your neighbor? You can ask, but a lot of things, I'll say a lot of people are like, oh, I mean, most everyone knows a realtor, but do you know a realtor who is active in the market and who is, candidly, and I say successful in the market, that doesn't mean that if you're not successful, you're not a good realtor, because you could just be starting out and be a fabulous. We've all been there. But it does mean don't just give your sister's, cousin's, brother's, uncle,
right,
because you know who they are and they have a real estate license. Really do your research, because that matters. The knowledge of the market matters. And, we talked about this a little bit on another track. Oh, look at the bubbles into babies. So cute. We did a listing appointment, and, they were talking to different realtors. We did not get that listing because they wanted to price it far higher than they had any right even considering.
$300,000 more than...
And the person that they gave the listing to, I spoke to him, and he's like, I don't even, this isn't my area. I don't know anything about, He didn't know anything about he didn't even know who the builder was. He didn't know anything about new construction. He didn't know anything about warranty on that home. He didn't know anything about the HOA in the community. And so that really wasn't beneficial for that seller, but that's who they chose. Anyway, so find a realtor that you know and that you trust. Can you interview them? Absolutely.
And should.
And yeah, of course. What I'm going to do, by the way, is I'm going to come up past this a little bit, and I'm going to make a U-E and go back that way. Just drive it back that way, and then we'll head toward the place.
Okay, so if I'm trying to sell my home, and let's say, so I choose a realtor. Give me the traditional, what's that realtor going to do for me to list my home, and what is it going to cost me?
So, well, first of all, if they're going to market your home, they're going to make sure that you are taken care of as far as all of the legal documents and the disclosures that are required for that transaction. They're going to oversee it. They're going to facilitate it. They're going to, of course, put the home on the MLS with all of that information.
Okay, hold on, stop, though.
Sure.
You say they're, of course, going to put it on the MLS. Again,
very good.
I don't think people necessarily know what that means.
Yes, sir. I'll be a coach. So,
good.
So putting it on the MLS, the multiple listing service is the brains of real estate. That is the spot, not Zillow, not Realtor.com, not Trulia, not any of those third-party sites. Those are not the engine of real estate.
Yeah, those are powered by the MLS.
Right. They retrieve the information through the MLS every so often, and that's when they swipe through the information, and that's why you'll see homes on Zillow that say active, but in reality they're pending. This happens time and time again, where I'll have someone, a client or a potential client, send me something about, hey, I'd love to go see this home, and I look, they're sending me the Zillow link, and the MLS reflects that it's already pending. So anyway, so the MLS is the multiple listing service. So as realtors, we are the ones that take the information for our listings. We enter in all of that information. And then we are the ones that click the button active, pending, sold. We continue to update and enter in that information.
And by the way, it costs us lots of money to have access to the MLS and be able to do that.
Right. Realtors, people think that realtors can make a lot of money, and I do think that they're, bumpity bump, by the way, we're at Heritage at Plant Street, and this was an MI Homes community, so we're just going to loop through here real quick. And then
vibe check.
Yeah, so this is kind of a resale community at this point. Those were their models over there to the left at one point, but we'll do a quick loop-de-loop. This is where our friend has a townhome over here, so we'll kind of wait. At any rate, so what did you just say?
We're talking about, so it costs a lot of money to be a realtor.
Yeah, so being a realtor is not a free ride. There are fees and dues and things that we have to pay to several different organizations. Our state licensure, our brokerages have transaction fees and things like that. So
many MLS rules that you have to know and follow.
Exactly. So that's
for your protection as a seller and a buyer. So.
That's why, and they're different from state to state, and it's kind of important to know that. So you need to find a realtor who's active. We put that stuff in the MLS. We put your listing in there. We make it, active, pending. The other aspects of it, which of course I would assume you understand, is you take good photos of the home so that you can present it. In its best light. You see a couple of resales in here, by the way. Did you notice a couple signs in here?
I do see, yeah.
What did I just say?
Photos.
Now, in our case, we do videos. Most of you have found us probably or know us through my home tours. And if you've watched that YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, you've probably seen then some of my resale home tours. We do a resale home tour just like we would a model home. Of course, that is at the discretion of the seller. I always ask the seller permission if they would. Oh, I did not even see you, sir. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good this way. Yes.
Okay. So we ask permission because that is your personal home.
Yeah.
In most cases, they're always like, absolutely yes, because that's one of the benefits of us listing a home is the broad range marketing ability through the YouTube channel, which we have grown over years and years and years.
And so speaking generally, because I want to speak generally so people understand the process, I will say that's one of the reasons why you're very successful is because we tend to be pretty good at marketing people's homes.
Right.
That's that really, as a listing agent, I can kind of sum it up there. You're paying that commission, which we'll talk about in a minute. You're paying that commission to market the home, to put it out on the market and get interested buyers to come in and buy it at the highest price that the market will support.
Correct.
I think I said that very well.
That was very well.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Waving.
The other thing too, and this kind of came up as well, at a listing appointment, knowing the builder, knowing the community, knowing the history of the community, this particular homeowner was able to, when they purchased their home, to do a full a la carte design center experience on a luxury home, which you would expect, right, on a luxury home.
Yeah.
But that has changed now in that community.
Yep.
And now their luxury homes have the design packages again. All of that stemming from material issues and delays and the pandemic and all of the hassle and chaos that created. But when I do that video for that home, it will be about that exact thing, the knowledge of knowing that. And these are custom choices here. They were able to pick whatever level they wanted of the granite or of the quartz, of the, this, that, and the other. And that's shown in the videos because of the way that I do the videos. And this isn't like tooting my own horn or anything. I'm just saying
one of the special things about our market.
Right. And a lot of realtors will do a video, but it's not a video where they're giving you that in-depth information. They're doing essentially a slideshow presentation of the photos they already took.
Yep.
Or perhaps like a Matterport where you have a special camera and it kind of clicks and you can kind of walk through the home that way. But
yes.
At any rate.
So marketing is, so we're talking about in general.
Marketing.
So it's a marketing job.
Absolutely.
When you're listing a home. What does it cost?
So this is where we talk about the commission aspect. And we talk about that there is no standard. There is no rule. There is no law as far as what the commission is supposed to be, because that's ultimately what it is. The commission for the listing agent and the buying agent. So let's think about that for a minute. So when you go to sell your home, you are most likely going to have 2 realtors involved in the process.
Okay.
The first one is going to be the one that you have trusted and enlisted, which is the listing agent, which we just talked about. The one who is going to market your home, who's going to give you that visibility and make sure that you are protected on the selling end. They're also going to give you honest valuation of your home and give you a good understanding of the market and what you could, should, and would expect.
Which is one of the most important reasons to hire a realtor is to price your home well.
Absolutely.
So listen to them if you hire them.
If they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Second...
Don't hire them if they don't know what they're doing.
Well, right. The second thing is... the second realtor involved is going to be the buyer's agent. Whoever that buyer is that comes... Is this guy paying attention or no?
Well, that's
Okay. So the second realtor involved is the buyer's agent. So that person is going to be a realtor who has a client who is actively looking for a home. And they're going to somehow showcase your home, whether it's that they send them a property search through the MLS or whether their friend or their client finds it on their own and then reaches out to the realtor and says, I would like to request a showing. I'd like to go see this home. So then the buyer's agent is going to be able to retrieve the information that I have put in the MLS, including disclosures, HOA disclosures, seller's property disclosures, floor plan information, options and upgrades, whatever specific information is going to be included for that property. That realtor is going to be able to access and show it to their buyer. So
just real quick, we just passed Rosalie, the French Cafe at Rosalie. Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
You saw the line going out the door.
Yeah, crazy.
Unbelievably good. Okay.
So that realtor also receives a commission. So 2 realtors, 2 commissions. But ultimately, when you do the listing, the commission on the listing agreement is going to have one number. And the normal number, and I say normal, it doesn't mean that that you can't... Oh.
That's just my thing saying I'm about to run it back.
Okay. The normal number is 6%. And that 6% that you are paying as a commission is then allocated or apportioned, I liked your word earlier, among those 2 agents. So if you think about 6%, 3% for the listing agent, 3% for the buyer's agent. That's normal. That's what you could and should expect. But is that the rule? No. Is that negotiable? Yes.
Absolutely.
Is that something that is going to change on the size of the home? Yes. The price of the home? Yes. The market? Yes. The area? Yes. All of those things can affect what that commission should be. For instance, during the feeding frenzy, sellers were selling homes in a hot minute.
Yep.
So they were a little bit more stingy with what they were going to pay a buyer agent or even a listing agent because they knew it was going to sell quickly.
Yes.
Right? Maybe not as much marketing was going to be required for an extended period of time. Now, however, it's kind of switched. It's not that it's a buyer's market now, but things are slowing down. And so now all of a sudden people are like, you know what? We value those realtors and their expertise.
And there's the word. Value is the word I wanted to introduce to the conversation.
Yes.
The value of a buyer agent was a little bit lower a year ago because people were getting a bunch of offers on their houses and things. Right now, we see in new construction the companies that basically make their living on this. They're a good guide to know, is it good to pay a buyer agent even if you're listing your own home? And the answer would be yes.
Yes.
Tell me what people were doing with what companies were doing with commissions a year ago.
So definitely a year ago when we talk about new construction, they were part of the feeding frenzy, right? They had very, very limited opportunities, so they had a waiting list. Remember those conversations? Yep. The waiting list, they could only sell 3 or 4 homes a month because that's how many they were having released. And so you'd have to be on that waiting list until the next release happened. You're next. Thank you. Just making sure they know I want to get through this intersection because there's bikers and pedestrians. Yep. Okay, good. So people were on waiting lists. So the builders, even though a commission comes from their marketing fund, they didn't have to market as much.
Right.
So they're like, well, let's just reserve some of that marketing fund.
And in some cases,
all
of it.
Yeah, exactly. The builders at that time were very fickle with realtors.
How is it
Not
now?
all of them, by the way. First of all, I'm going to give D.R. Horton a shout out now, because D.R. Horton has constantly and consistently appreciated realtors, and they did not change. They always respected and valued realtors, even during their feeding frenzy. As much as as in the times they didn't. But now, every builder, I cannot tell you how almost off-putting it is. It's like
fine.
Rude. It's like, you like me when I can do something for you. And candidly, what's happened is all that reserve that they had in their marketing fund for realtor commissions that they were saving, right? Now they are being a little bit more generous.
Now they have inventory, and they're like, "Oh my God, please bring your buyers to us."
There's 30. Well, we won't say the community, but there was like 30 some homes, not completed, but close to completion within 3, 4, 5, 6 months that are for sale for you to contract on. 30 some of those were just released in 1 week. And they release them every week. And so now the inventory is changing. And remember, supply and demand, right? So if there's a lot of supply and the demand is a little bit, even if the demand is the same and the supply is much higher, then they've got more options and more choices, which is why you're seeing things slow down a little bit and things aren't snapping up as fast.
We really dug into the seller side, and I feel like we didn't even really talk about all the things that a selling agent does for you. So we'll talk about it on coffee time a little bit too. But I want to touch on what is the value of having a buyer agent. Let me give you the alternative that we hear sometimes. I don't need a buyer agent because I can go buy new construction, or I can buy resale, and I don't need them, so I'll just go it on my own. What's the value of having a buyer agent working on your behalf? There's 18 things, but...
Oh my gosh. Well, exactly. Just to a few. First of all, if it's new construction, if you've ever gone through new construction, and I cannot tell you how many people I've had that have done new construction without realtors in the past and said they will never do it again. Because first of all, it doesn't cost you anything. Typically speaking, having a buyer agent assist you through the process is not something that you have to pay for. Now, I will say there are brokerages and there are transaction fees, but we're talking $295, $395. We're not talking $500,000. We're talking a very minimal fee, and that's not even for the realtor. That's for the brokerage, for the errors and omissions and the insurance and the things like that that a broker is required.
I don't want this to go on forever and ever, but I'm gonna give you a pet peeve that I thought of the other night. So there's a new rule that says that you can't say my buyer agent services are free. And the reason why they say that is because they're like, well, someone is paying you.
Right.
So, and you can't even really say that my buyer agent services are free to you as your agent. However, I'm watching something the other day, and they're like, and if you buy this thing, we'll throw in a second one for free. Just pay an additional fee. And it's like, well, wait, how can they say that's free? And, it's a semantic thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so talk to me about, if I want to see a resale home, do I need a buyer agent?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, if you see a resale home, can you go up and knock on the door yourself and ask them if you can see it? Then
you could.
Bad
idea.
But it's a bad idea because, again, you're walking in there completely unprotected.
Yeah. Literally and physically.
Yes, true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things that would be important for you to know is that, again, the buyer agent needs to schedule that showing. That means you have representation. First of all, it demonstrates that you're a serious buyer, first of all, that you have the wherewithal to reach out to a professional that's what we're licensed for.
No one ever goes and looks at houses they have no intention of buying. Of course they do. All the time.
Of course they do. All the time.
Which is fine, by the way.
All the time. I've had clients that want to go see homes sometimes, but we're not quite at that point.
Yep.
And so that's why we talk about the importance of, looking at actual resale homes when you're ready.
Yep.
Because, candidly, I don't think anybody would say, sure, come on, walk in my home. I know you're not really looking to buy anything right now, and we don't even know if you could afford it anyway, but come on in. Anyway, but yes, you should have a buyer agent. And here's the other reason. Do you remember, and I'm going to tie this up and then we're going to be done. So do you remember when we just talked about a little while ago at the beginning of this really long, supposed to be short Sunday drive, that we talked about those sellers and some of the realtors who are still pricing up in the rafters a little bit?
Yep.
Without a buyer agent to work on your behalf who knows the data and who can get that information to tell you whether or not you are overpaying or whether or not that home is even in the realm of reality and the appraisal aspect of it, You don't have anybody representing you. You don't have anybody to make sure that you've signed a seller's property disclosure. You don't have anybody there to make sure that everything is done properly and correctly.
And a lot of you just went, what's a seller's property? Another time we'll talk to you about what those things are.
This is why you need us, my friend.
Yeah, but it's why we should have been a little more I should have made a list.
Maybe I should do a series just on real estate one-on-one, like real estate for beginners.
What time are we going to produce that?
I have no idea. All right, guys.
We'll try to do that. Well, no, but so I just want to touch on one more thing, because it was actually the entire point of doing this video, which we haven't dealt with at all. Can you be represented by the same agent as the buyer, and can the same agent represent the buyer and the seller?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is actually, typically speaking, a really beneficial thing. Some people are a little bit worried about, well, wait, if you're listing my home and you also represent the buyer, well, whose interest do you have at heart? That's the biggest question. That's the biggest concern. So here's the thing. In my case, if I have a listing and I also have a buyer, which, by the way, happens a lot because I do have a big buyer pool, I actually reduce my commission, so I save my seller money to begin with. But the word is transparency. We are completely 100% transparent and honest with both people. If I've had the listing, first of all, I probably have the listing before I have the buyer for it in most cases, right? So I've already talked honestly and openly and given that client that advice about where we should be financially with pricing, with what to expect, with the appraisal, the condition of the home, blah, blah, blah.
And that advice doesn't change. When it's honest, the advice doesn't change on either side.
Exactly.
It's only if the agent is not being ethical that it's a problem, which is why it's important to hire someone that has done a lot of this work before and has a good demonstrated history of being ethical and honest. Transparency and that question almost always comes up, and that's why we actually thought to have this conversation today, was there's almost a look of worry in their eyes, like, so, but what if you bring the buyer to the house, who are you representing? And how am I, what the question behind the question is, how am I going to get screwed over? Hey, there's a Peloton of bikes. That's the question behind the question, is how am I going to get screwed over? You're going to get screwed over if you have hired an unethical agent that's not transparent with you. Right. If you hire someone that's ethical and transparent, you're going to be fine.
And, we have done that many times where I've had a listing and it ends up being one of my clients that purchases it. And in every case, it's worked out fantastically. Because, again, I know what the seller needs to make the transaction happen. That's important, right?
Yep.
And so all I have to do is let the buyer know this is what the seller needs to make that happen.
And we let the seller know that we're letting the buyer know.
Yeah, it's all about open and honest communication. And the other thing is that by doing that, you're making sure that both parties are taken care of, and you have one person there to make sure that all the work is done, everything is taken care of. I think it's a great thing, actually. But yes, and so in that case, let's go back to that real quick, that 6% that we talked about before. If that ends up being the commission that you and your realtor have agreed upon, a 6%, 3 for the buyer agent, 3 for the listing agent. When I was in my initial classes, they called that strawberry jelly. They said, oh, you're going to get 6% because you have the buying side and the listing side. Well, you know what? That's true. And I'm not saying that every realtor should do this, but I'm of the mindset that if I have the listing and I also have the buyer, that I should give some of that good mojo back into the world, and I reduce the commission that is to the advantage of the seller. And by the way, sometimes can be to the advantage of the buyer, because whatever discount I take could be the bridge and the price point that
you
gets
can
us
say,
to where we
the
need.
price point a little bit down, we're pushing down. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we are almost to the house where I need to go pick up the sign in the lockbox. I hope you enjoyed our Sunday drive as we went through downtown Winter Garden. It was a little slow, but that's beautiful. That's part of it. It just reminds me of a leisurely stroll. Yes. All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. The rest of your Sunday, please stay safe. Stay well. Remember, we truly do love you. And join me for our coffee time on tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Live.
Bye, guys. We love you. Happy house hunting.